is joining us this morning to talk more about it. Retired Major General William Enyart, good to see you this morning. The president is going to be heading to Poland soon. What should we expect from this visit, and will it push the U.S. closer to approving fighter jets and other long-range missiles that Ukraine is requesting?
Well, I think there'll certainly be a great deal of pressure on the administration to provide F-16s. Poland already has F-16s. They've had F-16s for well over a decade. In fact, the very first F-16 was delivered to them by an Illinois Air National Guard pilot. They have about 48 of them. And there are a whole lot of F-16s out there in the world. There are about 3,000 of them. The U.S. Air Force has got about 1,200. They're flown by 25 different nations. So it is a very capable aircraft. There are a lot of them. There's a good supply line. And that's why Ukraine wants them. You know, they're flying MiG-29s now. Those are old Soviet aircraft. Their spare parts are running out. The Poles do have a few. The Poles have got about a couple of dozen that they'd like to give to Ukraine, but they haven't been able to work that deal through NATO and U.S. and German approval yet.
Even if the U.S. grants approval and sends F-16s, it's going to take a lot of time to train Ukraine's forces into how to fly them and use them.
Well, it's certainly true. It will certainly take a period of time. It's not just a question of training the pilots. You've also got to train the maintainers, the folks on the ground who bend the wrenches to keep them in the air. And without the maintainers, you can't fly aircraft. That's one reason it would be great if the Poles could turn over those 24 or so MiG-29s right now, because that would give an immediate uptick in Ukrainian readiness, because they already fly MiG-29s. So they can step right into those cockpits and fly them today. On the F-16s, on the other hand, it's going to take months to get the pilots transitioned from the MiG-29 jets into the F-16s, and likewise to train the maintenance folks to handle those F-16s.
Our NewsNation colleague, Chris Cuomo, is in Ukraine right now ahead of what we expect will be a Russian offensive near the one-year mark of Russia's invasion. He talked earlier about the battle in Bakhmut and the bloodshed there and so much destruction. We're now hearing that the British Defense Ministry says Russia is likely suffering its highest casualty rate since the first week of the war in Ukraine. How do you interpret all this?
Well, I certainly don't think it's surprising that Russia's taking heavy casualties. You know, they're in the position where they're attacking prepared defenses with infantry who are unprotected by armor. And when they send the armor in, they're not protected by infantry. You have to work as a combined arms team. And many of the attacks have been done by the paramilitary mercenary Wagner group. Many of those folks have been recruited right out of prison. They don't have professional military skills. And, you know, also the Brits have been reporting that the Russians have lost about half of their tanks and armored vehicles since the beginning of the war. So with those kind of armor losses, the Russians have also lost the trained crews to operate those vehicles. So it's not just a question of losing the vehicles, you're losing the folks who operate them. And with the 300,000 folks they've mobilized or more within the last several months, those folks, even with several months of training, they aren't proficient at operating a combined arms campaign. That is, armor, infantry, and air working together. So I'm not surprised to see those kind of losses.
This is new and caught our attention. The U.S. has issued an advisory urging American citizens to leave Russia immediately and to cease travel to the country. What do you read into that at this point?
Well, I think that's some very good advice. I gave that advice a year ago and said, if you're an American, hold an American passport, even if you're a dual national citizen of Russia and the U.S., get out and get out now. The Russians will not hesitate to bring up trumped-up charges and against folks, and any infraction is certainly going to bring the wrath of the gulag down upon an American citizen.
A risk not worth taking. As always, retired Major General William Enyart, good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.